Back for more of turn 5. I have realized that I have not been saving in over here in Tabletop Simulator, so I'm not sure if I'm at the right card or not here, if I'm going to end up duplicating a card or something. Won't matter in the end. So it is this American unit's term, and I have discovered what they are actually called. They are A Company, 3rd of the 8th Infantry, 1st Brigade, 8th Infantry Division, or just 3/8 Infantry. And so I'm going to just start calling them A Company, I think. And A Company, as you know, I've been kind of just leaving them there, saying that their orders are to sit tight. So we'll see what happens here. This infantry unit here, we need to see if they have successfully reloaded their weapons. So that is a 9, but they have the oh no, the headquarters are not stacked with them. So they failed. They have not figured out how to work their dragon anti-tank guided missile. And so I'm not going to allow this outfit to move around at all, but I am going to draw the card to see this Abrams here has line of sight over to these German tanks here in this part of the city. And the mortar could come into play here. The headquarters could call in mortar fire. So let's pull a card and see what the solo assistant tells us to do for this unit. So if there's any outfit within point blank range, and I forgot to check that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're not within point blank range. They're in effective range. So this is the yellow priority orders. So onboard, offboard or onboard indirect fire is going to fire, and then a unit in line of sight is going to fire. So indeed, the headquarters is going to call in the mortar. Look at what I discovered. If you right-click on the artillery units, you can bring up your own fire for effect counter. That's pretty cool. And so headquarters are an eligible spotter for indirect fire. If that mortar unit could see the enemy, they could fire at it. But they could be spotted for. The headquarters is always an eligible spotter. Any recon unit or elite unit is always an eligible spotter, and other units can roll what's called a spotter check to see if they can call in fire themselves. It'd be sort of like, some unit that's not really well trained in calling in artillery calls and tries to figure out how to get the job done. But sometimes they can and sometimes they can't. But a headquarters unit would know the necessary, whatever call signs and verbiage and everything like that. So this mortar is going to take a shot over here, and the mortar is 3 dice needing 5s to hit, and so see what happens. And they get a single hit, and these tanks, both of them are in good order and reduced. So if either of them takes a hit, they'll be reduced. They get 3 saves for their armor, plus a save for being in the woods. So they get a total of 4 dice. And they fail all of their saves. So the mortars have done themselves proud here. They have disrupted this unit. A lot of back and forth here in this little area of the map, isn't there? And so when an indirect fire mission is called in, the firing unit is marked ops complete, not the spotter. Now we've got the M1A1 here, and it's going to take a shot, and it's going to go ahead and take a shot at the undisrupted tank, thinking, let's leave that entire stack in bad shape. So the Abrams with the headquarters attached is going to roll 6 dice needing 5. Oh my, 1, 2, 3 hits, and so that tank is going to roll for saves, and it's going to roll a total of 4 dice. Now, if enough hits are if there are enough hits unsaved, that there's sort of a rollover. So if the attack ends up scoring more total hits than the unit that's being attacked has steps, additional hits are applied to other units in the hex. So it is theoretically possible that this volley from this tank platoon could eliminate this entire stack of Russians. Let's see, or East Germans. Let's see what they do. No, these Germans do pretty well. They save 2 of the 3 hits. So both of these damaged T-72 companies are disrupted, but still in the fight. And the Abrams has to be marked ops complete. So there's not really anything else to be done here for this outfit, and so we're going to pull another card, and that's the wrong pop-up. That does not bring up the turn. This is the pop-up that brings up the turn. That is the first end operations, and you remember that I made some mistakes in the last turn, so there are the American helicopters and the Russian T-80s have to come in this turn before the turn ends. And now it's A Company, 5th of the 8th from the 8th Infantry Division. Let's see where they are. They are... Oh, they're the American reinforcements that have come in, and they're the outfit that at first looked like they were going to come in and really put the Warsaw Pact in a bad spot, and then series of initiative pulls seemed to favor the East Germans, and so that is this outfit here, and I believe their headquarters is suppressed, and so each hex, so the headquarters was suppressed, right, so it's here. What that means is it cannot come in on this activation. It moves here, and it is now available for a future, for the next activation of that formation. The headquarters is also reduced, and so a reduced headquarters has a reduced morale value, or a reduced command range. Sorry, command range of 4 when it comes back in. But at this point, there is no command range, and so every unit has to roll for command status. Will roll, or every hex rolls. Yeah, that was corrected in an email game I'm playing with Terry Simo. So this hex, the Bradley hex, going to roll. See if they're in command or not. They need to make a morale check. They are not. So those units are out of command, and so we're changing their command status. And out of command units cannot move or excuse me, or initiate fire, but they can conduct opportunity fire. The infantry needs to roll a morale check here, and they roll an 8 and they fail, so they're out of command, and now they roll to see if they're undisrupted, and they are undisrupted. No, I'm sorry, they're not. You know, I mixed this up a lot. I believe that what happens is you roll for command first, and then you make rallies, and if you remain out of command while you're disrupted, I believe you have a penalty to your rally roll. And so I believe that this American unit is not only out of command but also disrupted. And so basically this formation cannot do anything this turn at all, and so hopefully before it becomes super necessary, I'll figure out whether that unit is supposed to have been rallied or not. Let's see who activates next. Same outfit. So now the headquarters comes in, and now I got to pause for just a minute and find out whether that unit should have stayed disrupted or not. So I was right. The disrupted units suffer a penalty of 1 in their rally attempts if they are out of command, and so now the once the formation activates again, any command status markers are changed and are removed, and you may have to check again for out of command. But let's see, this reduced unit is going to come in. Seems to make sense to put it on the Bradleys and try to do something. Let's see about command range. So it brings everybody in command. And so there's no command check. Um, the infantry will attempt to rally, and they will fail again. And so let's see what the solo assistant tells this unit, this badly mauled unit, to do. So assault if firepower is greater than the target's otherwise fire. If there's a unit in line of sight. So this unit would take that action, except it can't because it's disrupted. So the disrupted unit closest to a unit tries to make a low-risk move away. So I just don't think there's a low-risk move to be made. I don't think they can go anywhere. I think they just have to sit there and try to pull themselves together out in that field. That'd be a bad scene, wouldn't it? Being this infantry company out here in like a cornfield or something, while you've got all these units of tanks at good cover, like 100 yards away. That would not be fun. So let's see what this card pull says about the Bradleys. So the Bradleys do not have any enemy in sight. So the highest firepower unit that is farthest from a player unit with the lowest defensive bonus would be fired at, but that doesn't affect it. The enemy unit, the solo assistant unit, closest to an ops complete unit in zero terrain or a victory objective will move toward it. Otherwise, it will execute victory conditions. So here's a thing that I've never had to go through before. If you look at this solo assistant behavior table here, it tells you there's execute counteraction if you're in a defensive posture. I didn't mention that, but the NATO forces are in a defensive posture here. If I were having this solo assistant play the Soviets, they'd be in an offensive posture. That affects the creation of the deck to some extent. So I imagine what's happening is that these cards are generally more oriented towards defending a position than attacking it. So the execute victory conditions. Condition 1, eligible AEO, and AEO is the solo assistant. Can't remember what AEO stands for off the top of my head, but that's solo assistant. Attempt to eliminate an enemy unit in a victory objective within LOS. That doesn't apply. Condition 2, solo assistant vehicle or stack with good firepower closest to a victory hex that its side does not control moves towards it. So that is, in fact, the condition that I think we're under. The next condition would be any stack, whether it had higher firepower or not, I guess. Or whether it had any firepower or not would make that move. So we're doing condition 2 here. The order is to move closer to the victory hex. So, here we go, right? The order comes down from on high saying, take the bridge, get it back. And that's maybe not the worst thing in the world here. And especially since at this moment, the Warsaw Pact has no ability to interdict. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now I have to say, assaulting across a bridge is tricky. There are some special rules about assaulting across a bridge that makes it harder, which makes sense. But, that I think that the orders here are take the objective, right? So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to now turn this back to a NATO-controlled objective. And So the Bradleys have only moved 3, so they are eligible to fire, and there's no reason that they shouldn't. I can't imagine that the card... Yeah, it would be crazy not to take this shot here. Question is, where should they shoot? They've got bad news coming at them in a little while. I think that this unit that has this stack that has the headquarters on it and can actually roll across the bridge and try to take it back should probably be considered the biggest threat. So here goes nothing. The Bradleys have armor-piercing firepower of 2, needing 4. And let's check the moving fire information for this unit, movement and fire. So here we have NATO or NATO allied with orange, AP, or HE. The first, it moves half, it has no effect. If it has green AP or HE, it's going to lose 2 dice for that move. So even though the armor-piercing firepower here is generally a bit stronger, in this case, it's a better option to take the shots with the 20 millimeters. And so the first unit, the unit on top, is going to use 2 dice plus 1 headquarter dice, the headquarter being reduced, so 3 dice, and needing 4s because they're point blank, which I think is certainly better than... Is that better than 2 needing 3s? If anyone's listening to this right now, you probably understand the odds on this better than I do. I'm going to take the 3 dice needing 4s. And that's a single hit. And so the 3 needing 5 plus the city gives him another one. And that's easily saved. And so the next Bradley will do the same thing. That's 2 hits. All right. And so now this unit again gets 4 needing 5 to try to save the 2 hits. And it saves 1, but 1 is disrupted. So these Bradleys have gone ahead and taken back the objective that is their mission here. So I think they should feel pretty good about that. And they will finish up their turn. I need to mark this one ops complete so I don't let it do an op fire later when it shouldn't be allowed to. And so, all right. And now this disrupted unit here, again, there's really nothing it can do, right? It just has to stay there. So let's pull another card. And now the Soviet tanks come into the game, and we don't need to put them there. We're just going to bring them right onto the map with the T-80s. Now, the T-80s are effective tanks for sure. I don't know, it seems like they're not showing themselves to be so great currently, but in this game they're good. But so the Russians, you can see here, they're coming in on any road hex on this side of the board, on this map edge. So they're going to just come right down here and go rolling. I don't need to spend a lot of time showing you each individual move. I'll just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 6, right? So this is 6. Each tank gets 6 movement points. So we'll go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're just going to go ahead and stack these units up where we want them. There could theoretically be some American air support coming after them at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4. This up here would be 5, 6. You don't, by the way, if you're a vehicle in this game, going up a hill on a road does not cost you an extra movement point, which I think is a very good way to depict things. And so They're going to go like this. I'm going to move this unit so that I can select all of these units and mark them ops complete. And that is the first activation of the Guards Tank Regiment. We'll see if they activate again this turn. There is a designated formation marker in the deck for the Soviets. And it is the East Germans 1-4 MSD. So I also learned that MSD stands for Motorschützendivision, which I assume means motorized infantry, I think. So that's these fellows down here. Now this is a reasonably effective force. Now let me see what we've got here. If I recall, I was sort of thinking that I could use this recon unit to bring in a smoke mission and do some screening. But the truth of the matter is, there isn't really anything to screen for here. I didn't think about that. The defensive posture that I ended up taking lets these East German infantry just roll right through this open terrain without being very badly threatened. Maybe that wasn't so wise. Well, too late now. So yeah, I'm just gonna pause the video at this point. I'm going to end here for now. I want to make a little note that the East German infantry is activated. It's about bedtime for me here, so I'm going to stop this video at this point, and I'll get back to this in the future.